What's up, everybody? I'm B-True, and today I want to go over the changes in patch 6.16, the champions that it affected, and what I think is going to change from here on out. So patch 6.16 is actually pretty small, but that's because patch 6.17 is actually going to have a huge number of changes right before the Worlds patch. But I'll go over all that in a later video. For now, I just want to focus on the small changes happening in patch 6.16. So first off, as I'm sure you've noticed, Kled, the new champion, has just been released. Now, Kled is a top lane jungle kind of bruiser with a mount. He's the first actual mounted champion whose abilities change based on whether or not he is mounted. He has like a separate health bar mechanic. He's actually a pretty cool champion. Depending on how you play him, he can do a lot of damage, or he can be kind of tanky since he has a that sort of extra passive health from his mount. Great initiation, like I said, great damage if you build him that way. So Kled is the new champion. Definitely check him out. And if you don't know what he does right now, if you're playing ranked, I would recommend banning him just because he's a new champion. It's always a good ban to start off with before somebody that on your team picks him and throws with him, or someone on the other team picks him who's been playing on with him for the PvE. Okay, so next, Aurelia's passive has been reworked to a small degree. So now, if there are, it's based on the amount of champions that are in the fight, including your own. So if your team outnumbers the enemy team, so if your jungler is ganking and it's a 2v1, you get 0% tenacity. If the same amount of enemy champions as friendly champions are nearby, you get 10% tenacity. And if there are more enemy champions than allied champions nearby, you will get 25, 30, 35, or 40% tenacity scaling with your level. So you get up to 40% tenacity at level 16 if there are more enemies around you than friendly champions. Alright, and next we have Lulu getting a small buff on her W. So her W's cooldown has been reduced, and then the bonus attack speed granted has actually been increased by 10%. So the Lulu Kog'Maw bot lane just got a little bit stronger, might actually turn into a bit of a problem here, depending on if Kog'Maw gets a little bit more popularity in the laning phase, not so much in the jungle. But even if he stays primarily in the jungle, having Lulu on your team like maybe mid or top in order to buff him towards the late game becomes a very big problem, and now he gets even more attack speed off of her W. Alright, and then we have Sona finally getting a nice-sized nerf. First is to her E, so her self-movement speed and her ally movement speed ratio are both down by a little bit. And then, more importantly, her ultimate, her crescendo, the basic ability cooldown reduction has been reduced early game from 20 to 10, from 30 down to 25, and then late game, once you get 3 points into it, the base ability cooldown reduction is the same. So she's getting an overall nerf to her E and an early game nerf to her ultimate, which still might not be enough, but at least it's a step in the right direction considering how powerful Sona is right now. And now our penultimate change, Victor is having a decent sized nerf to his ultimate, his Chaos Storm. So the maximum movement speed has actually been reduced. However, the minimum movement speed has been increased. So it'll move a little bit faster at its minimum speed, and at its maximum speed, it's going to move a noticeable amount slower. So the speed starts to decay at a shorter range now, so closer to Victor, so it can't go out as far anymore. And the minimum speed has been capped at a 900 range. So the minimum, so once it reaches its minimum speed, so it slows down as it gets farther away from Victor. That minimum speed, so the distance that it hits its minimum speed, has now been decreased as well. So the overall speed and distance that his ultimate will chase you has actually been reduced, taking away a decent amount of his ultimate's power. And last but not least, I've saved the biggest change for last, and that is to Nautilus. Now, Nautilus's ultimate has now been changed. So now all the targets that his ultimate travels through, not only will they be knocked up, but they will also be stunned for 1, 1.5, or 2 seconds, depending on the rank. They also increase the knock-up duration to 1 second. So that means with 3 charges in your ult now, targets that are knocked up are now going to be CC'd for 3 whole seconds, 1 for the knock-up and 2 for the stun. Now this is an insanely huge buff, and Nautilus was already a huge hulking sort of crowd control tank, And now they just gave him even more crowd control in large team fights where he's able to pull off a great ult and hit multiple enemies with it. And this ultimate can now single-handedly win team fights pretty easily as long as he hits, 2, 3, 4 people with it. So with Sona getting a small nerf and Nautilus getting a large buff and Leona getting a large buff in one of the recent patches, I now believe crowd control, sort of the CC tanks are going to be more popular down in the bot lane now as opposed to the healers like Sona and Soraka. So kill lanes are most likely going to be back for bot lane now. They're going to be more popular. They're going to have a higher win percentage. And so I think Nautilus and Leona are about to be two of the top tier supports after these changes. The other changes I don't really see affecting too much as far as the meta goes, but the change to Nautilus and Sona are definitely going to affect the way that the bot lane plays out in this next patch. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. My question for you would be, what do you think about the change to Nautilus's ult? How big of a buff do you think it is? And do you agree with me that kill lanes and crowd control tanks are going to be back down in the bot lane? So as always, if you enjoyed any part of this video, please click the like button. If you did not, click the dislike button so that I know. We'll try and do another one of these for the next patch now that I'm getting back into the swing of things. Appreciate you guys for sticking around. If you have stuck around this long and you have not subscribed yet to my channel, please do so. I'm working on making more regular content and doing some rework ideas as well as patch updates and all that kind of stuff. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day and peace.